App Planning for Success. Brought to you by Software Accelerator Playbook. On Instagram at S.A.Playbook.
Hello, today on the podcast, we're going to chat all about what it looks like to mess up. And what I mean by this is not to shine a light on things going wrong, but the idea is that if you can get a good picture of what messing up looks like, then it's easier to avoid, right? Once you get the picture in your mind of, I don't want to go down that road, I don't want to make that mistake, I don't want to do that, then it can help you as you're moving forward and making decisions to, if you're about to head down that road, then you'll know, okay, I don't want to do this because of this, this, and this. So I'm basically just trying to drop some ideas in your mind so that, as you move forward, you're going to have a little bit better success. So the first thing is, one way to mess up, or one way that I've heard, many different people mess up, is that they'll just throw money at a developer and expect that the developer is going to deliver. And so what this looks like is, maybe something with, Fiverr or Upwork or whatever, and the idea of approaching them saying, hey, I want to build an app. Maybe their profile says, we build apps. So you just, you click on it and you go, okay, well, build me an app then, and here's a few $1,000. And the difficulty there is there's a lot of things that you're assuming, right? So you're assuming right from the beginning that, there's going to be good communication. You're assuming that, you can just talk to them and, clear up any miscommunication. But the difficulty is that there's so many details inside of an app project that if you don't actually explicitly go through each of those details, then there's a lot that can be missed, and that can also really add up. If they're missing 5-10 details, that could completely change the scope of the entire project. If one of those details is a foundational, fundamental piece, then they're heading the wrong direction from day one, and you won't know it until you finally get the thing back and then realize, oh my goodness, this is not what I expected at all. So that's one way you can mess up is, just basically, trusting from the beginning that everything is going to go right. And in fact, it's actually much more helpful if you just trust that things will go wrong. And I don't mean to be, don't be, being a Debbie Downer, or being, being negative about it when you don't need to be. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, being mean or being stressed and anxious about it that way. What I'm talking about is, assume that there will be a miscommunication. So then when you give directives, when you clarify, hey, I need this, hey, I need this, what you're doing actually is you're assuming that you will be misunderstood. So if you then assume you're going to be misunderstood, you go the extra mile to make sure that you're not misunderstood, right? You say, hey, can you please, rephrase, for me what you think I'm, what I'm doing, or, can you mock something up for me before you move forward, or whatever it is, getting feedback from the other side to make sure that they heard you properly, to make sure that they understand your vision and that it's going into their head the same way that it's in your head. Most of the miscommunication happens when, the founder has the vision. That's fine. That's all well and good in the founder's head. But now the founder has to get the idea to the developer, and that's where everything breaks down. So that's one way to mess up. Now another way to mess up is to not really have much of a plan from the beginning, right? This kind of general idea of, hey, I need this, or it's got to do this, or hey, it's kind of like that. Staying too general and not getting concrete from the beginning is a recipe for disaster. And again, this comes down to, because there's so many decisions to be made in and around an app project, if those decisions aren't made by you, then they're going to be made by somebody. And if that somebody is somebody who doesn't fully understand the vision, or doesn't really understand the big picture of, where you're going, what kind of upgradability you need, just so many details there, then that stuff can get messed up and kind of get you on the wrong track. If you want to imagine the idea of, you're having somebody, spin a train around and have it land perfectly on the correct track, if you spin the train wrong and you end up on the wrong track, even if you go down the track well, you're still on the wrong path. And so that's the difficulty, is that, when you're moving a project forward, it's kind of like a train leaving the station. And if you go down the wrong path from the beginning, then, it's not necessarily easy to just then hop over and just jump on the other track. You've got to backtrack. You've got to really think about, well, how do I turn the train? What exactly was broken? It's trying to fix it after it's too late. And I'm not meaning too late like you can't ever fix it, but too late like it's going to be pretty costly to fix it. Too late like it's going to be frustrating for you to have to undo it. And so better then to, from the beginning, get clear and over communicate and make sure that you are being heard and that the details that need to be decided are decided by you. And then when you head down that right direction, even though maybe it took you a little bit longer to turn that train and get it going on the right path, you end up actually moving forward on that correct path, which means you're not going to be backtracking and you're not going to be wasting time trying to go a different direction. So part of this is tricky though, because if you're headed the wrong direction, it doesn't feel like that at the beginning. At the beginning of the project, it feels exciting. It feels good. Oh, I'm getting things done. Oh, I'm getting things developed. Oh, I'm moving forward. Fantastic. It feels fine. And so this is part of the trick, is that you might not know that things are going wrong because it feels like things are going right. I'm in contact with the developer. I'm paying the developer. They're getting paid. They're developing stuff. We're moving forward. We're making the thing. Right? So you're just thinking, okay, we're moving forward. Fantastic. But behind the scenes, if all the pipes aren't connected properly, if the underlying architecture isn't proper, if the idea is wrong, then even if the thing gets made and technically works, you can still be, 10 miles down the wrong path, at which point then you either have to bail on it or you have to go back and find a different way. So that leads me to the next one, which is that sometimes, another way to mess up is building too early and not validating the product enough. So the idea here is, somebody's got an idea, talk to a few people. Hey, that sounds like a cool idea. Oh, yeah, you should build that. Oh, cool. And so then you take that as enough validation and you start building it. But there's a lot there that you haven't figured out. Number one, how are you going to market this thing? Number two, do people really want it? And by really want, I mean that there's always a list of things that people aren't taking care of, right? There's always a list. I don't know about you, but for me, I've got a list a mile long of things that, I need to do or need to take care of, right? They're not super high priority. They're things that, I'd like to take care of. And then sometimes they become high priority based on deadlines or whatever else. But there's always this kind of running list of things that I've got to do that I haven't just done yet. And so everybody has this. Everybody has this sort of thing where, whether you're running a business or, you've got a family or whatever it is, you've got a list a mile along, and there's a line then on that list. Above the line are, top priority things that will absolutely get done, right? I mean, you need to file your taxes. Okay, that's going to get done, or else there's going to be trouble, right? There's certain things that, you got to do. And then there's other things that, just kind of you might drag your feet on because it's not that pressing of a problem. And so this is where, with your app idea, with your software idea, if you're trying to market this to somebody, where does it fall on their list of priorities? Is it a nice to have, or is it essential? Another way to think about this is the idea of, is your solution, is it a painkiller or is it a vitamin? Vitamin meaning, you could take it or you don't need to take it. Painkiller, if you're taking a painkiller, well, that means that there's pain. That means that, you probably really want to deal with it. If you're even considering taking a painkiller, you've got this big headache. You've got this big thing that's really clouding your mind, and it's really frustrating and it's really painful. And so then you want to take a painkiller. So that's the idea, is that, if you're selling vitamins, then people can take it or leave it. If you're selling painkillers, then there's a need for what the thing is, because you're solving a problem that is much more painful, much more immediate. Like, I need an answer to this now. I need to solve this now. And so if your software, if your app is not solving something that people consider to be a big problem, then it ends up being a lot of work later and more difficult later, when then you realize, oh my gosh, okay, I've put all this money into this thing, but I'm not even sure if I can market it properly, that people even want to come in, because it's just kind of this nice to have sort of thing versus something that is essential. So that's another way you can screw up too, is not validating enough and not making sure that, once you get down the road and the thing actually works, that there's going to be people who are ready and waiting for this thing to be released, sending you email. Hey, when is it going to be out? Hey, hey, when can I get access to that thing you were telling me about? Right? You should be able to notice that there is a need for this thing. You should be able to notice that people are saying, I want this, I need this, when is it going to come out? Tell me when, can I get on the list? Whatever it is, you can hear them saying, we really, really, really want this thing. So keep that in mind as you move forward, that there's all these different ways that that you can screw up, and the idea there is I'm trying to then help you see them, so that then when you move forward and you potentially head down one of these directions, that you maybe have a second of pause and you go, I'm not sure if I want to do this. Let me try to dig in a little bit more before I commit to going down this road. So maybe I'll do a part 2 of this as well. There's a lot of different things I've kind of heard and seen along the years building that people may not know, and so by sharing them, I'm hopeful that I can save somebody some pain. Now, if you're looking for help with your app and you want to, get an idea of what that would look like to work together potentially, hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram handle is S.A.Playbook. Just go to my profile there, Instagram.com/S.A.Playbook, and send me a message, and we'll get the conversation started. Thanks for being here. Talk to you tomorrow.